Hello everyone, this is RSI Winterthorn coming at you from the Jedi Conclave YouTube. Today we're doing part 4 of 5 on my perspective on Pitfalls mini-series. This one we're going to be going into of course, the 4th pitfall that we as Jedi, specifically at the Conclave, must be mindful of, which is a clouded mind. Um, our exact definition is of a clouded mind is allowing emotions and attachments to cloud your thinking, and it can lead you to haste and failure to see what you must accept. Meditation and mindfulness are the remedies to this pitfall. So, what is a clouded mind? I know everyone has had it. You get to a point where you're just rushing and you're just not thinking about what you're doing properly. Jedi are They don't allow the past to overly influence their current decisions. They of course learn the lessons from the past, and they don't become overly attached to the idea of the future because that's not yet set in stone. But they're mindful of the present moment. They are grounded here now. However, they must be mindful of how their actions now will affect the future. And a clouded mind often prevents one from seeing that. It is an aspect of the dark that we try to avoid because it may seem like the right decision, but if we are clouded, we're just going to end up rushing headlong into this. It's hasty and it's attached to an idea that isn't really real. So let's go through this, okay? So sometimes in the hustle and bustle of the day-to-day, we allow ourselves to fall into just habit. It's very easy. God knows I have. I get up, I'll get ready to go to work. I'll go to work. I'll come home. I'll veg in front of YouTube for an hour or two, and then I'll go to bed. That type of deal. It sometimes just becomes habit. Basically, you're just going through the motions. You're falling into what I call NPC energy. You're not really doing anything unless you're prompted to. It's a hazy way of going through things. Sometimes it is useful to do so. For example, when one is completing a rather mundane, repetitive task, you just go into automatic mode and just let yourself go through it. But Jedi must be mindful of their actions and their thoughts. Hazy minds are prone to mindless action and thought. As it says above, with the allowing emotions and attachments to cloud your thinking, as it says above, meditation is an excellent treatment for a clouded mind. Now, why is this? Mostly because meditation is a way of learning how to hear your mind. This goes into the idea, this is, of course, my perspective. This doesn't need to be your perspective. I'm not preaching here. I'm just giving my point. You're not your mind. You're not your body. So learning how to hear your mind but not have to listen to it is a vital tool to being able to tackle your own hazy mind, because your mind will just keep saying things. It'll just be like, hey, you should do this, you should do this, you should say this, oh, that person looked at you weird, blah blah blah, but really that's not you. So you need it's good to listen to this that little voice in the back of your head. It's gotten you to this point in your life, hasn't it? However, it will hold you back. So it's time to learn to meditate, and in meditating, you're sitting, you're controlling your breath, you're practicing good posture, and you're just allowing yourself to sit and be with yourself. And in turn, also learning where the boundary between yourself and the ego, the mind, come into play. So, you're learning how to hear that, and in turn you're able to just hear it rather than listen and act upon it. So simply sitting alone with yourself and one's thoughts helps one to organize them. It's basically like cleaning your room. You're learning how to just sit back and just, okay, like I'm gonna like I need, like, is this worthy of my time? Is this thought worthy of my time? No? Okay, in the garbage. Is this thought worthy of my time? Yeah, let's consider it. Okay. Yes, sometimes you need to be hasty and you need to be like, I need to act now. But a lot of the times when your mind is telling you to do something, sometimes it's trying to get you under its control again. It doesn't like not being in control. It's been in control your whole life. And now you're being like, hey, I'm not my mind. Why am I listening to you? Like, I can hear you, and I will let you speak, but I don't want to just act on you, right? Okay. You have to go into your mind and clean it. You have to stand amongst the mess, acknowledge the mess for what it is, forgive oneself for letting it get that bad. It's not your fault that your mental room is messy, but it is your responsibility for, once you've recognized that there's a mess, to start cleaning it up, and then actually do something about it. So you have to sometimes throw away stuff. God knows, like just recently, I did this big spring cleaning. I found out I had a ton of papers that weren't really necessary anymore. I held on to them because I thought they would be useful, and then realized, okay, they're not useful. Get rid of them, because if you don't, guess what happens? You hold on to them for longer and longer and longer, and eventually you just realize, I've held on to this for God knows how long. So meditation in this sense is entering the room of the mind and getting busy sorting out your thoughts. You're throwing out the garbage and finally finding the book that you've been looking for. You know when you're doing a big deep clean of your house, and you're like, oh, wait a second, what's this? And you find a book and you're like, ooh, that's a good book, and you end up just sitting and reading it for a bit. That's basically what you're doing when meditating. You're allowing yourself to go through things, find the garbage, get rid of it, find the stuff that you totally forgot about. Now, in saying this, it sounds very easy. Cleaning your room, like physically cleaning, I know the back here seems messy. This part is not my stuff. This is, look how clean that is, right? The mask and all that, yeah? Cleaning your room, it's not easy, okay? It's like, well, cleaning your room physically is easy. Cleaning in here, it's harder than it sounds, especially the first couple times. It takes a lifetime of just letting this room grow messy makes for a very messy living environment. And like any environment that you're actively living in on a day-to-day basis, it doesn't stay clean. Like right now, like I should be like after this, I'm gonna be like vacuuming or sweeping because my dog comes in here and she sheds. So I got fur, and I'm allergic to it, so I'm a little bit sniffly right now. So because you're actively living in your mind at all time, with your mind at all times, it gets messy. Stuff happens. Stuff falls into the creek and just gets clogged. So it's time to clean it up. You have to tackle it often. It's easier to be done every day, just a little bit at a time, especially the first time. I don't expect somebody the first time they meditate to just be like, okay, I've cleaned the entire room. I don't buy it. It takes time, a lot of time. Or, yeah, maybe you could do it in one time, but it would be insane. And I don't imagine the person would end up doing it again, because it would just be that traumatic because you basically have to end up questioning your very existence at some points. You have to recognize parts of your character, parts of your past, some of your habits, some of the things that you just identify with. For so long, I kept referring to my time in the military. My time in the military was a thing, yes, and it was an important part of my life, but it wasn't a very long one. And after 2 years of being out of the military, why was I still referring to my time in the military? I was referring to my time in the military almost longer than I was actually in it. So I eventually had to let go of that. Sometimes I'll still refer to it just because it's like, hey, there's a funny story or whatever. But it shouldn't affect me anymore. And that was part of when I went through it. I had to go through and get rid of that. And in doing so, I healed myself a lot. So instead of tackling it all at once, sometimes, especially with very messy rooms, I don't know if people who are watching this have ever watched Hoarders. You don't get it done in a day. a lifetime of just packing rooms full of garbage, it can take a long time. And sometimes just 10 minutes a day, just being like, okay, we're gonna address this item today. Do I need this? Yes, no, okay, no, yes, whatever. Just get it done. Just 10 minutes a day can make a huge difference. And if done daily, and the same is if you do the English people, you do 10 minutes a day, just a little bit at a time, you'll clean the hoarder's house essentially. And that's of course the same for the mind. A little bit at a time with meditation, you're going in, you're addressing the problems, and you're able to realize how messy it's gotten, and then you're able to actually do something about it. So you keep at it daily, and the mind can remain calm and cloudless. So as with all of these, I do like pulling from real life examples. I don't just like saying things and being like, okay, whatever. You figure out how it applies. This is a perspective. So as such, I like giving my perspective on these things. So I've been out of the military for about 7 years now. Now, a lot of people wonder why I left, and it was because my right leg, wasn't working properly. I had gotten an injury, and it just wouldn't heal. I had this persistent limp. I couldn't support myself on my leg for extended periods of time. Standing or walking for any period of time could hurt. I used a cane, and sometimes it would hurt so much that I just couldn't stand. I had scans done. I've had x-rays done. I had ultrasounds done. I had an ultrasound done from my hip all the way down to my ankle, and they couldn't find anything. And that's why I left, because I didn't think they were treating me seriously. And it turns out they were correct, but how they handled it was wrong. There wasn't anything wrong with my leg. Yes, I had hurt myself at one point, and it hurt for a while. And as a result of that pain, I did end up getting removed from one training squad and putting into another, and I felt like a failure for such. My mind ended up creating this connection between the pain and not having to do punishment drills, having to do PT anymore. It created a safe room for me. It said, you're in pain, so they can't force you to do this, and I would be able to get a medical note for it. I didn't like being in pain. It hurt. It sucked. I just wanted to get out of that place. But that pain made going through that place easier, even though I could never leave that place as a result. So when I eventually left, honorable discharge, medical reasons, it took me another couple of years. I stumbled upon the Jedi community, and after a long time, I was able to eventually address what happened to me. And I realized that the pain was just not real. Like, it was real, but only because my mind was saying it was real. It's a psychosomatic damage. And as a result, I was able to tackle it. I was able to confront it. It was one of the most horrific nights of my life, because I had to sit down and I had to mentally go through my entire time there. All the things that had happened to me, all the things that were said to me that drove me to that point. It was painful, and it was like truly awful. I wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy. But the next day when I woke up, I stretched, I got up, my leg felt this sharp stabbing pain for a second, and then it was gone. I never had to touch my cane again. I don't understand what happened, but from what I understand, I got over the psychosomatic damage that had happened to me, and as a result, I was able to walk again. And now you guys see me, now I'm just like this guy who goes around spinning lightsabers like a madman. And that wouldn't be possible if I was still stuck with a cane. If you go back to my earliest videos doing lightsaber stuff over on my channel, you'll see that it's only, most of my videos are only 40, 50 seconds. because I literally could not film for longer than that. I just couldn't. I couldn't stand on that leg for long enough. And then eventually, it was only shortly after I started filming those videos that I was able to come to that conclusion and heal myself. So, in the end, that pain was a clouded mind, in a sense, from a certain point of view. It was a clouded mind that um, affected my ability to actually act as the Force needed me to. And meditation and mindfulness was able to help me remedy that pitfall, just as it says in the description that we have on the Conclave doctrine. See? I bring it all back around. Uh, so yeah, this has been a clouded mind. Just my perspective. As I've said the past couple times, this is just my perspective. If you're a new student to the Conclave, this might help you ask yourself the right questions while you're tackling this part of the IP. If you've been in the Jedi community longer, I'm sure some of this is just common sense for you. If not, maybe it's just good listening. That's about it. This has been part 4 of 5 of my perspective on the Pitfalls miniseries. Be sure to subscribe and like, and I'm not gonna say you have to hit that notification bell, but that's what all the big YouTubers say. Whatever you need to do to get, you can like our Facebook page. We upload all our videos there, and we'll feel free to discuss this. It's just my perspective. How have you fought a clouded mind? How many times have you recognized that you've had just the craziest clouded mind, and it's made you act ways that you wouldn't have otherwise act? But yeah, I'm going to ramble too long, and I don't want this video to go on forever. So this has been part 4 of 5, A Clouded Mind, on my perspective of Pitfalls miniseries. I'm Arasag Winterthorn of the Jedi Conclave, and may the Force be with you.